Cool, cool. I saw the post go up.
Yeah.
So I guess it's tomorrow when that video is gonna go up then.
Yeah, so let me check right now. So it is tomorrow. Tomorrow morning is when the post will go live. So we'll put all our reels and stuff like that. It is kind of like, well, it's gonna be like a reel. It's gonna be like, oh, like I quit my MBA consulting job and like I'm doing this kimbap thing and like it's sort of like TikTok-y. Um, so that'll go live tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and then we'll probably post like a couple things maybe in the meantime, and then on this week, later this week, we have another video that'll be going up as well. And then next week, probably sometime early next week, we'll have another set of videos. So video 3 and 4 will go up the week after. And then in between, then we're going to weave in like the menu and the prices and things like that.
Hmm. So I mean, I guess we'll see on Monday, but are you sharing your entire story in one video on Monday, or is it just gonna be
Yeah,
like chopped
it's just
into
like
pieces?
what we're trying to do, right? So it's like I quit my consulting job. I'm now, I wish there was always more Korean food in Chicago. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do it. And so I am doing it. So
Mhm.
it's like, stay tuned. And then video 2 is going to be about like why we chose to do kimbap. And then it's like, it's sort of like, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but like it's social media. So it's like, you just got to do what you got to do, right? Like I'm a fan of the videos, but it's just like the format and like, I'm not like a very social media-y person, but
Yeah. Is there, I mean, so I guess your team opening up the account today, is that just to kind of, release it to your close people first and then
no, this is just like we're doing like we're warming up basically, and
mm,
tomorrow we'll start the reels. Today was just like here, let's get our account set up. Let's just make
mm,
sure we post stuff we can, and like our like accounts are linked to each other and stuff like that, and just getting the logistics set up. And then tomorrow we'll just start posting it. I think it goes up in the morning at like 8,
mm.
and then I think we have another one that goes up on Thursday or something in the morning. And then next week we'll have another set of couple videos, and then we'll probably have another post in between then. So yeah, we'll just keep posting and keep moving. I think the Instagram Reels, like the video format, is probably going to be the most. It's going to be like the biggest sort of not opportunity, but I think it's what will probably enable us to grow a little bit from because like there's a couple ways you can take it, right? It's like you can take it like the actual small business route, which actually doesn't get that much traction in my opinion with social media, just because it's like post about the food, which is great if your food is phenomenal and it's like super trendy, then people will follow it. But especially a lot of the small businesses, like they're not like super social media-y. And so then there's like another way you can do it, which is a very social media influencer type way where you're just like, hey, I quit my job and like I'm trying to start this up, and like you record the story behind it, and then I think that gets a little bit more traction.
Mm.
Um, so we're trying to go the latter way. But we'll see. I will say the social media thing. At some point, Jimmy and I will probably consider getting a full-time social media like person, and we'll pay them. Just because the social media thing is kind of hard. Like it just takes so much time, and the direction in which you go is just, I mean, there's so many ways you can do stuff and do things. I think we're taking a little bit more the serious approach of like, oh, like we're like pretty serious about this. Like, we're very excited. Like, this is what we're trying to do. We obviously like our product and stuff like that, but who knows how it can, honestly, it just depends on like like there's two things. We want to stay authentic to ourselves, just make sure we don't go off the rails and like go too much. And at the base root of it, this is like marketing purposes, right? Like we're not trying to actually become influencers. Like if this doesn't actually help us market a product, then we don't really care about doing it. um so we just got to stay close to that, but then honestly the scope is still really really wide, so
Mm,
that's
mm.
where we're at.
Any inspirations that you took from while you were building these series?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. I mean, now my algorithm on TikTok and Instagram is just full of people that are doing this. And so I'm like, oh, there's a ton of people that just quit their jobs and starting something. So there's a ton of people. There's one that does like there's a girl that used to work in private equity, and like she quit her job to create like a yogurt company. There's a
Oh
guy that
yeah.
yeah, there's a guy that I really like that creates frozen bean burritos, frozen bean and cheese burritos, and sells it. And like the guy pops off. To be honest with you, I would have never been like, oh, like frozen bean and cheese burrito. That's like where a new like that's where people want, and like that's what people will buy. But the guy is like popping off and like he's selling out and like he's like making it into this big thing. But like the way that he does his videos is like very sort of calm, it's like pretty chill.
Mhm.
And like he just documents the process. Um, there's like a burger. I think they're called Softies or something like that, but I think they're based in California. And it's like a burger. It's like two I don't know if they're Korean, but they're two Asian guys that are trying to open up like a burger spot. And they're doing a lot of pop-ups and they may I think they specifically just do pop-ups right now, but they are doing very, very well and they are very well liked. But they also do social media and theirs is like a full-on like episode one, episode two, episode three, episode four. So they do that format. The
Mhm.
Speed Burrito guy just is just sort of documents just in, in whatever order. He doesn't actually like label them episode one, two, and three. The yoga girls, I think they sort of do a combination of like very scripted and like very planned out videos versus like just like a little bit more ad hoc, it seems. And then there's like completely on the other end of the spectrum, there's like these guys, two guys that are doing protein cookies. And they just completely go the super social media, like super meme style, like like those little skits kind of.
Oh, interesting.
Um, but it just goes to show like everybody, like it works. Like everybody is doing well in their own regard. Like it's, they all have followings. They all have obviously people that buy their products, and it works to a certain extent with the marketing that they have. Obviously, I think long term your product has to be really good. I think that's really your what is your table stakes. But I mean, the marketing end of it, it's like they're doing very, very well. And so I think we want to try to follow something similar. Um, and but none of the places and there's a lot of people that are making Kimbap, by the way. Like the Kimbap thing, and the more that I am on Instagram, like the more that I get advertisements for Kimbap rolls, like that are not in Chicago. They're not in Chicago, but there's a ton of places that are just doing sort of homemade, right? Sort of like the route, the sort of same path that we've gone down of selling Kimbap. They don't get as much traction, but I mean, they're all in their own right. They're all still doing well. But like, there's some in New Jersey, there's one in New York, there's some in LA.
Mhm.
There's some in California. They're very, very small, but um, I would say the path that we need to go down is a little bit bigger scale in terms of marketing, which I think is going to be sort of the influencer e vibes, meaning that we have to be at the front, like we have to be there. Like me and Jimmy have to show our face and we have to like actually say stuff and like market ourselves.
Wow. Is Jimmy on board with that? Is he ready to show his face?
Yeah, I mean Jimmy's on board with sharing his face. I don't know if he's too keen on like saying things and like being the forefront at the camera, but like he doesn't mind being on camera. I think he also understands that like if we want to succeed, like we have to the marketing piece of it, like we have to both be on camera. It's not like one person can be on there and one person's just gonna be behind the scenes forever. And so I think he gets it. And so he's gonna be in the first video and like we have the whole thing
Mhm.
ready to go. The second video is he's also in there as well. So he's basically going to be in every video, but like if we do any like voiceovers and things like that, that's usually
Mhm.
me doing.
Yeah. Interesting thing is that you mentioned that I guess down the line, you're thinking of maybe your first hire being a social media person, like your first hire if you were to if you were to get someone on board. And I'm just really, I thought that was really a really interesting point because nowadays it's big, like social media has become a huge part of any succeeding business, and high growth businesses as well. So I'm just curious to kind of ask further and like what your thoughts are on that, like why you thought that way. Um, do you feel like in the future maybe it's just a job that's just going to be on the rise even more and more in demand, things like
Yeah, I
that?
mean, I there are also platforms that help small businesses with their marketing and stuff like that. I don't know how
Mhm.
expensive they are. Maybe we might look into one, but I think it's huge. I think social media is like the biggest and free like marketing platform ever. Like it's everything's free to you. I feel like if you aren't using it as a small business, I feel like there's opportunities that you're missing out on.
Mhm.
And so I think we want to take full advantage of that. I don't exactly know to what extent, like we're obviously not going to be good at it the first time around. I think there's a lot of things we're learning on the fly. And so I think we always give ourselves a little bit of, a little bit of room and a little bit of grace. But I think I mean, I feel like it's 100% necessary, right? Like any sort of marketing and there's a whole community out there of just content creators and there's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of opportunity there. And I think if you're not doing it, I mean, I just feel like it's like, why wouldn't you, right? It's free. And like, if you just get a little bit of time to film yourself and make something interesting of value to somebody else, then you should film the process. And honestly, if we don't, like, one of the things about restaurants is that half the battle is getting people to come in, right?
Mhm.
How do you get people in the door? How do you get new customers? The second part is that how do you retain customers? So the retaining customers is honestly a lot of things, right? It's like the product itself, like the quality of service, how fast you are, and where's your location and things like that. But I think how you get people in the door is pretty simple, right? It's just you have to do marketing and you have to do it right. Um, and I feel like social media is a big part of that. And Jimmy and I, as good as we are, and honestly, we probably take the time to learn it too, which I think we will. But there's also an element of, at the end of the day, again, we're not trying to be content creators. It's one thing that we want to pay attention to, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure the food is good. So Jimmy and I are doing a lot of testing with food in the background. We have to make sure our operations is actually going to be able to sustain whatever we're trying to do. There's a
Mm.
lot of legal things of trying to figure out food permits and things like that, which we technically don't even have a food permit yet, which we're in the process of getting, but it's not like just because we don't have it, I think doesn't mean that we can't build up a social media presence beforehand and just sort of get the story rolling. And maybe it's
Right.
fun for people to follow along and see where we're at with the process. So
Mm. Mm. I think I remember you mentioning about this separate, I guess, I forgot if it was a permit or like an approval to be able to sell food at your home, right?
yeah, it's called a cottage food license. So there's a bunch of food licenses and stuff like that. The one that we're getting right now is the cottage food license, which essentially just means that you can prepare food in your home to sell to the public.
Mm.
If you don't have that, then you need to find a commercial kitchen. So you need to find like a shared kitchen location. Uh,
Mm.
which we just don't have. We could. We're actually looking into some cloud kitchens and things like that, just in case this cottage food license doesn't end up working out for us.
Hmm.
But essentially, if you want to sell food to the public, you need some sort of certification. There's like a lot of different ones that you have to get. There's like a food handler certification that's like separate from this. There's obviously a reseller's license. So in order for you to be able to tax
Oh, true.
on food, you have
Yeah.
to get license as well. There's obviously like bank accounts that you need. There's quite a bit of stuff that you need to get.
Mm.
Obviously, you need to apply for yourself as a business and things like that as well.
Mm. Is Jimmy taking more of that end of stuff, like
Yeah, I
his
would say
license?
Jimmy's probably taking the bulk of that and just trying to understand what we need for it.
Mm.
But like it's one of those things where you do the research and then you apply for it and you just have to wait. It's not like you can't really like lobby them or anything. Like sometimes we call them ahead and just try to make sure we know what we need and we just check on the progress of how things are. But it's not like just because you call them 10 times, it's not like you're gonna get it any faster. So
Mm. Since we were just talking about Jimmy, and especially for me, I finished my last week of school, not just finals, but did you ever imagine like a future where you were going to be doing something with one of your college, best friend?
no, I mean, I think when Jimmy and I became close, I think we were both it was pretty clear that both of us wanted to do a business of any kind. I think Jimmy is always his I think his parents are business owners. I think he's always wanted to do his own thing as well. I don't know if I've always had the drive to want to do something of my own per se. Like I don't know if I like this thing about like I guess technically it's like entrepreneurship, but like I don't really think like I just want to have a restaurant. Like it's not to me it's not like this grand thing or anything. I want to have a restaurant. I want to have ideally a lot of restaurants because I like it. And I think Jimmy just happened to be the person that I think makes the most sense for the both of us. I think there's things that he does very well that I'm not very good at, and honestly, like for me, I'm pretty strong-willed. I think I have a lot of thoughts and like I'm pretty stubborn in many ways, and I don't know if I'm the easiest to work with at times, but I think Jimmy does a great job of sort of level setting that and making sure that things are on the right path. I mean, he deals with stress very well, or at least relatively speaking. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things that I think make us a good pair. I think at the end of the day, it's always just about not quitting when things get hard. And to be honest with you, I don't know if things have ever really been that hard yet. I'm sure we'll have really hard times down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I mean, since I was able to just see that first kind of coming soon post today, and I just started seeing other people repost that as well, and it was just some familiar faces as well. So it's felt really interesting, and yeah, it's just been what
Yeah. We'll see
oh
how
what
things go. I mean, honestly, I think it's just
uh,
getting started is half the battle, and I think there's a lot for us to learn, and we will learn it, but we won't learn it just by thinking about it. I think at this point, it's been about a month and a half since I've quit my job, and um, I think it's just we've come to a point where we just have to do something, right, and like get feedback, and like we'll learn. I think we're very confident that we can. we can do it as long as we don't quit and as long as we don't get discouraged. I will say there's been already quite a few moments where the energy levels are low and we're all tired and things are tough, but like just gotta keep pushing through and just keep going, figure it out.
Yeah. No, yeah. Definitely true. Huh. And oh, I had a question in mind. I just kind of slipped through. But I'll get back to it when I remember.
Yeah, I will
That's
say it's been fun so far though. I mean, Jimmy and I are very, I think in many regards, we're just good friends. And so we like spending time with each other.
mm.
Um, and like both of us don't really know what's right. Like neither of us know, we don't have any experience in doing this. And so we're just figuring out one thing at a time. But we like to think that nobody really knows what they're doing, right? Just figure out what makes the most sense and experience will tell you if it's right or wrong.
Oh. Was there anyone who weren't very supportive of the transition, or was just everyone mostly
I would say
benefiting?
honestly, everybody was supportive. Like I didn't have somebody that was just like, I mean, obviously my parents were a little concerned, rightfully so. I mean, but they weren't like against it by any means. They were very supportive.
Mm,
If anything, they were just like, make sure, like if you're gonna quit your job, just make sure you have at least an idea of like what you're gonna do, like have a plan of what you're gonna do. Like don't just quit on a whim and just be like, this is like don't run away from something, like go towards something.
mhm,
Um, but besides that, like everybody that I've talked to, and especially I would say the people that I have around me are great people, but also I think they've seen how much I enjoy food and the restaurant industry and in general. And I guess I wasn't ever really that happy in consulting to begin with. And so I think when I decided to make the commitment, the people that knew me very well were not surprised, and the people that I wasn't very close to just respected the fact that I was willing to quit such a nice job to pursue something that is very different, but it's something that I want to pursue. And like, I guess, you're pursuing your dreams and things like that.
mm. One of the early comments you made was that now that you've been looking at these videos of other people who are also doing something similar to you, did you find any commonalities between all those kind of videos or anything interesting you picked up from there?
Yeah, I mean, they just keep posting. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, they're all very different, right? Like the product is different, the way they market themselves is different, but they just keep posting and like they don't stop. Like, um, yeah, honestly, also I try not to look at it too much because sometimes when you see really successful people and like you're just getting started, it can be a little bit disheartening because you're like, wow, like I wish I was at that point, and like, oh, that looks amazing. I'm like, oh, you got this many views. I'm like, it seems like you're getting a lot of traction. You've been selling out every single time you do something. So you get a little bit of the jealousy of they've already started and been there. Obviously, it doesn't affect me to the extent yet, but I'm just happy we're getting started, and I'm obviously getting a lot of support from
Mm.
all that we have around us. But I will
Uh,
say, I mean, like my Instagram feed is not full of people like that, which always just goes to show you that like there's always people trying to do these kinds of things, and you
mm,
have to find a way to make yourself stand out. Like you have to, like there has to be something that makes you stand out.
I'm intrigued by this person you mentioned about who sold the frozen burritos, bean burritos. Like,
Yeah.
help me through this. Like, what do you think resonated with the people there? I mean, it's just a frozen burrito, so.
It's always about the story. And again, people are attached to stories. Like everything in life is about stories, and also in consulting, everything is about the story. Like this is a very common theme, and probably one of the biggest lessons away from consulting is about how important the story is. Like we as people are just we're very emotional creatures, and so the whole point is if you can get attached to a story, it doesn't matter. And in essence, that's what sales is, right? It's like you get attached to a story. It's not necessarily the features of a product that are so compelling. It's just if you can get behind an idea emotionally, there's nothing stopping you. And so the whole point of this bean burrito guy is like he quit his job to make a frozen bean and cheese burrito. And like the way that he communicated that was he just wasn't happy with the frozen bean and burritos. It's like you don't really think twice about it, but you go in the frozen out section, there's not that much for you.
Mm,
And he was like, I'll make my own. And it's a quality product. Like he films himself. It's a very, I don't know if it's relatable, but it's relatable in the sense of it's just like a fascinating idea. I don't know. I also really like the way that he edits his videos. Um, it's not anything fancy. I think the guy doesn't, it doesn't feel like social influencer, like social media influencer-y vibes. It's more of like, here's just a guy like trying to figure out if he can sell frozen bean and burritos just because he really likes them. Like that's it. I would almost say like if I had to be pretty critical of our like social media thing, which I don't know if I but I would say we feel a little bit more like the social media type influencer e vibes. But like, this guy's very chill. Like he's not like
Oh, interesting.
overly like that,
Hmm.
which I tend to really like.
Yeah, I was since we're talking about kind of social media and the story built upon that, I was recently talking with someone from our cinematic school here at USC, and just got into like a discussion about like the changes in the type of content we watch these days. She's more interested in like the film area, and I was kind of approaching it through like consumer consumed content like Instagram, YouTube, and how people are just well, I guess the way we are consuming content has been changing in my eyes. I guess I mean you mentioned that you're not a social media expert, but in more of an aspect of like consumerism, like how do you feel uh, people have been gravitating towards like going to these specific I guess channels to maybe follow someone's idea or startup journey? Like, what do you think is the thing behind that?
Yeah, I will say I'm not the right person to answer this just because I've been called boomer like 4 times in the past couple by friends when I talk to them about social media ideas. I will say that the thing that I've noticed is that the people that seem to do well on social media are very relatable. Like they're
Hmm.
not like over, at least maybe it's just I'm just inclined towards people like that. But the crowd of people that I want to attract and the community that I want to build is more sort of genuine and down to earth people, not necessarily the ones that are like oh, like a social media influencer, like I want to get famous and like I want to do this, I want to do that. It just I want more just real authentic people that want to follow the story of where we're going.
Hmm.
And I think that's really it. Like I don't really like the people that I tend to watch are sort of more on the more casual side, more like realistic, more relatable, instead of being like the overly glamorous and unrealistic. I think you can always go two ways, right? So you go really realistic and like you make it really relatable for somebody, or you make it so unrealistic that people want to follow you.
Hmm. That's a good point. I remember at one point in my life, I forgot when it was, but I was watching these day in my life video of this full-time like this corporate guy who just goes to work and comes back home, does his like dinner and like winds down on his couch, and like literally there's nothing special about it. It's
That's what you
just
want.
yeah, and it's like because you're always kind of exposed to ones where it's like, oh, look at me at this high-rise building and I got
Yeah.
this crazy view. But this guy was just like, no, like I wake up, do my thing at 6 a.m., I drive, I park, do my stuff, and then it's just very like everyone would like no everyone would understand like what's going on there, very relatable and nothing crazy. And I don't
And
know,
people
I don't think it was just me. There was quite a lot of views and subscribers there.
That's
So
what I'm saying. People will watch. I think people are just intrinsically very curious about other people's lives.
yeah,
And
yeah.
what people eat too is a very, pop like what I do in a day, what I eat in a day, like get ready with me. Like these are similar seemingly popular sort of themes um across the social media platforms. And I don't know. Like I don't actually know. Like this thing with social media to me right now is like my biggest sort of question mark. I think realistically though, like there's a limited amount of time we can spend on it because once we do this pre-order, then we just need to make sure the pre-order goes out well. So I think that's why we probably need some external help, which we are already getting, but we're basically just asking our help for our friends to like help us work for free. So we'll probably look to find somebody full time that can do this for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. That's that's definitely true. I feel there are people who are much more kind of specialized in this area, and I learn something new every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been something I've been well, I guess with that conversation it was very intriguing to have. And since, funny enough, like I'm called the I don't want to call myself a boomer, but I'm called the the Gen or millennial of my group.
Yeah. Well, I'm
So
pretty sure you feel like a boomer to me. Like I feel like your vibes are very similar vibes.
hey, I was trying to keep it young.
I mean, you are young, but it
Yeah.
doesn't, that doesn't change the fact that like you just feel a certain way. And I've been told actually quite a few times in the past couple of days that my social media sense is not quite MZ. So
Yeah.
maybe that's not,
No,
I don't know. Maybe that's like maybe one day we will just choose to go my route and we'll go the boomer route and just attract more boomers. Who knows?
exactly. Like there's a joke that I always hear is that if I know, like if there's a trend and I know, like the trend has gone like
Yeah,
past.
that's already
So, well, yeah, I'm totally understand that part. But yeah, no, it's just interesting since like we were just talking about how to attract more customers, how do you get people, start ordering, and you've been always honing on about like why the story is so important and if people relate, and maybe it's just that side where people, maybe the audience also has a dream of their own inside while they're doing their corporate job, and
yeah.
maybe you're just living that I maybe that fantasy for them by quitting your prestigious job, going for what you enjoy doing, and maybe that's just what is it called? In Korean, it's like 대리만족.
Yeah,
So
it's living vicariously through somebody else.
exactly, yeah.
Throwing big words at you, consulting.
So yeah, maybe it's just that people are just, and hopefully people do relate. Is Do you feel like there's gonna be more people like you in the future where they're just, less people going into corporate world and maybe just pursuing their own thing?
I mean, I don't know. It already seems like with all my like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube algorithms, it seems already it's like basically everybody already does that. It's like half the population already seems corporate jobs and starting up their own thing. In reality, I know it's not true because the amount of people that actually do that are the ones that I'm seeing.
Hmm,
I mean, I hope so. I don't know. It's certainly not for everybody, I know, and it's very unstable. Like my future basically at this point is in my hands, right?
hmm,
Which I guess is you could argue for anything, but um, this for me is not what I'm doing right now is not sustainable in the long term. Like there's no really trajectory of my career per se right now. Um, but I mean, I certainly hope so, especially in Chicago. Like the end goal is always to have a Koreatown in Chicago. I think, after this Kimbap thing and after we have a few locations, if we have enough capital in cash, then I'd love to start up like a putsa or like a bar. I'd also like to do like a bakery. I'd love to do
wow.
like cool other Korean food. And actually it's funny because like the place that I work at, like they are thinking the exact same thing. Like there's a lot of different concepts that they want to do as well. They're developing their team. Their team is already like 20 people big and like they're doing great things. Um, and so the mindset is very similar. Like I want to do this and like I want to learn from it. If this doesn't end up working out in a few years or something, then like obviously I will take my learnings, hopefully have enough energy to just try something new and create something new. I don't know if I'll ever go back into the corporate world. That is not mine. Um, but I hope so. I think Chicago especially can use a lot more Korean food and Korean people.
Wow, that's inspirational. Do you feel like is there some type of, I guess, like a social gathering or group that is kind of that has the vision that you were speaking about in Chicago, where it's like bringing these Korean chefs or
No, I will say they're all scattered. The tough thing sometimes about Korean community is we're not always the most supportive of each other,
mm,
and I mean that in the nicest sense possible.
mm,
I have a lot of respect and things like that. I think especially with the older Korean generation, I think the idea of collaboration, especially when it comes to business and money, isn't always the most sought after thing, if that makes
interesting.
sense. Which is completely fair and it's just the way that we were raised and they were raised and it is what it is. I think probably what makes more sense is like the second generation, right? Like the Korean Americans who want to support each other, who want to, sort of build something. I think those realistically, it's probably going to be that crowd. There was a gathering. I don't exactly know what it was for. I didn't do enough research into it, but there's like the Filipino community here has been really, I mean, it's amazing to see, but like it's been really cool because like they have these big gatherings. There's like I think probably like six or seven, it could be more, but there's like six or seven businesses, like restaurants, or like bakeries that are doing really well in Chicago that are all Filipino, and like they have like this big gathering for, I think it was for like a charity or like it was for a good cause, and like the entire crew of everybody like just came out and like supported and like had a great time.
Wow.
They posted on social media, it looked amazing. And I was like, why can't we do that with Korean Americans? Um,
Exactly.
because I think there are, it's not that we don't have them. It's just everyone is scattered and we're not, and we just meaning like everyone else is just, I don't know if we're the most like keen on just being like, oh, like let's do something. So I don't know. Hopefully, the relationship that I have with the restaurant that the Korean restaurant that I work at, hopefully, we can build something as well, and we can provide leverage, and it'll be a win-win for everybody, and sort of create a community here.
Yeah. No, I think it's really important.
Yeah, and you'll see it when you come, Paul. Like I think you'll get a sense of what I'm talking about. But I think
Mm,
especially in Chicago, right as of right now, it doesn't really seem like there's a
yeah.
community.
Mm. Yeah, that's really important, especially because at the end of the day, I mean, one restaurant could do well, but at the end of the day, if the entire kind of Korean food industry or the players there are able to rise together, I feel that's much more impactful than
Yeah, and like
just
it'd
one
be it'd be
place.
cool. So like if I'm Korean here and like there's a cool like Korean gathering of like really good food in the city and like then I would love to go. Like I feel like that's the whole point of having a community, right? Is like when people come here, at least you can find people that are similar in mind and spirit.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think I think I've heard this from someone else. I don't know how true it is, but I remember hearing about the Chinese immigrants coming to the States and how like they when a Chinese restaurant or spot does really well, they'll try to gather money together with their neighboring businesses that did well together and just start buying the land or the building so
Yeah,
that added up and became Chinatown.
yeah.
And like essentially Chinatown really is but owned by the Chinese people because they pulled their monies together. They were trying to, act as a community and just like buy these buildings or land and one by
That's
one
how
just
Chinatown in Chicago is. All the owners know each other.
yeah.
It seems like they're very supportive of each other, and they don't really like encroach on each other's like business too
Yeah.
much.
It's
They
just
work together.
yeah, that's the ideal, state that we all want to be as
Yeah,
well. So yeah, I mean maybe that'll be done by you. So let's keep pushing and we'll see where
yeah.
it goes.
Well, you got to dream big, I think. Yeah, you're the bigger your goals, the closer you get. So,
No, exactly. I agree with that. Cool.
yeah, one step at a time. We just got to get the social media thing launched and figure out what to.
Yeah, no, because last time we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna see the first opening of the count, and now we saw that. So next week we'll come back, and
Yeah,
by then
next
we'll
week
have two
yeah.
hosts.
We'll have quite a bit actually. It'll next week I think will be cool. I think the week after will be cool. I think it's going to be crunch time for us because we got to start pumping out more content.
Yeah.
Be
And
good.
then you make more Gimpa in the back as well. And it's a good thing.
I agree.
Cool. Yeah. That's it for today, and we'll get back into the updates next week with all the new rollout of the Instagram and social media.
Sounds good, man. Good luck on your finals.
Thank you.